It is me, Sailor Moon, and it's me, Tuxedo Mask. And today we're going to talk about this one thing that, does always comes up, but there's something we should talk about. Is that why is it in the Sailor Moon followership? And I know we keep coming back making this film over and over again, but it's something that, is up there. Is why do so many folks out there you know, hate the Dic work, they hate the Cloverway work, and why we keep making these films, because every time we think that we have the answer, we think we did good enough on it, but the truth is, we didn't do good enough on it. Well, you're right, Tuxedo Mask. I mean, was our Dic and Cloverway English offshoot, or whatever you want to call it, was it flawless? No. But nothing in life is flawless. Was there things about it that some folks out there may have not liked? Yeah, there were a lot of things. But the things that they didn't like, would they be seen as big deals? Well, yes and no. It may have been a big deal to them, but keep in mind, they only got that mindset and that stand on it after when they learned when they learned where Dic and Cloverway made their shift from, where this was taken from, or where this was taken out, or whatever. It wasn't like they first watched my show way back in 9 between 95 YL and the Settled Land and the Wanted Reichs and got to hate for it. They learned to hate it after they looked up on the interweb years later about my show and learned where it came from and what offshoots and shifts that Dic and Cloverway made to it. But then they got their hatred for it. Yeah, you just don't. Because a lot of these folks who, they make it out to be like that these folks knew what Sailor Moon was, but the truth was, very few folks even knew what Sailor Moon was, and I don't even think that very few folks even had reckoners at their home at the time. So keep in mind that in 9 between 95 YL, no one even knew what Sailor Moon was. And if they did, well, great for them, but I don't think a lot of folks did. So I think, like a lot of us, they just watched Sailor Moon, and that is what it is. And then years later, when they did go to the book house, or when they were at Learn, or one day they could afford their own reckoner at home, they started looking up Sailor Moon, and that's when they learned all the where my show came from, how it was, the shifts that Dic made to it and Cloverway made to it, and then that's when they got it into their head that they hated it. That's when they got in their head all those shifts that they made to it was just too much for them to handle. Yeah, you're right, Sailor Moon. That's when they started bitching about strike names being shifted, or stead names being shifted, or borrowed names being shifted for other borrowed names. That's just where all that shit came from. You know? Um, but you don't start out hating something. If you don't know what something is, and you don't know what something is, you don't know where it came from, you don't know how it got shifted, you don't start out hating it. It's not like these folks watched the first following of Sailor Moon, whatever it was, and then hated it. That would be bullshit. They learned to hate it, or they learned to have a unlike to it after they learned about Sailor Moon, where the show came from, and what shifts that Dic and Cloverway made to it. Then that's when they started behaving. That's when they started getting a hate for it. You know? So, but the things that they bitch about, or the things that they hate, are they really that big deals? No. At the end of the day, having stead names and strike names shifted, having borrowed names shifted is not a big deal. But they behave as if it is big deals. And talking about the show playing or the speaking players, whatever you call it. Was that something else to bitch about? But never mind, they felt it was. You know? And at the end of the day, a lot of folks out there say, well, does that mean the Viz one is flawless? No. The Viz one isn't any more flawless than any other offshoot of Sailor Moon. But the grounds to why these folks like it so much is that it keeps everything the way it is. The only thing they shift was the speech that's being spoken. But, I mean, so at the end of the day, that's bullshit. You know? That they could hate one offshoot or two offshoots and love the other. You know? And it's truly sad, that, that these folks, there's a lot of folks out there that don't like Dic And Cloverway's offshoot of Sailor Moon. That's alright. It wasn't for everyone. But to say that everyone watched it and then hated it right off the front was bullshit. It's after they learned about Sailor Moon. It's after they went on the interweb, looked up websites about the show, and that's when they started to hate the Dic And Cloverway one and started to love Toei, and later on the Viz one. And I've heard all the forgivenesses for why they don't like it. You're right, Tuxedo Mask. At the end of the day, if they hate it, then that's alright with them. But I don't believe that all these folks that hated it going back to between 95 YL. If none of these folks had the interweb at their house, didn't have the Reckoner at their house until years later, the only way they would have learned about Sailor Moon and where it came from is if they went to the book house or to learn. And that's the only way they could have learned from that, is where my show came from, and then learned to hate the English offshoot of Sailor Moon. Why is it always like that? Like, why is it that these folks, first they watch Dic And Cloverway, then they watch Toei, or now the Viz one, and then they get a hatred for the Dic And Cloverway one, which is bullshit. I don't understand where that mindset and stand came from, and I never will. And another thing is, a lot of these folks out there, behave as if it's the worstest thing that's ever happened. That Sailor Moon being shifted the way it was, that no other drawing film or live drawing show was ever handled that way. But that's not true. Speed Racer, both offshoots, Speed Runner, whatever you want to call him, he got shifted many times. He was shifted. Voltron had its whole name shifted and had folks and things shifted in it too. And no one bitched about those shifts happening to those shows. But then they had to bitch about my show being shifted. And let's go to Pokemon. Everyone loves that, and that got shifted a lot. From the 4Kids stuff and the Viz stuff. So at the end of the day, no, a lot of live drawing shows or drawing films or whatever you want to call them got shifted too, and some of them are most beloved ones and no one bitches about them. Yeah, before I end this film, it's like it's a double standard out there, Sailor Moon, about how oh well, we hate Sailor Moon for being shifted and stuff by Dic And Cloverway, but it's alright if Speed Runner got shifted, or Voltron was shifted, or Pokemon got shifted, and we don't care. It's like a double standard. How they could hate one show for being shifted and cleaned and skimmed, but then love all the other shows and not bitch about anything about them. I don't understand it. But anyway, I may never know. So if you like this film, then follow us over here at Sailor Moon for Life. Watch the last film we made yesterday over here. I, Sailor Moon, I, Tuxedo Mask, will see you later. Bye.